the reading and then a homily. This reading is a poem by Naomi Shihab Nye. It's called Burning the Old Year. Letters swallow themselves in seconds. Notes, friends tied to the doorknob, transparent scarlet paper, sizzle like moth wings, marry the air. So much of any year is flammable, lists of vegetables, partial poems, orange swirling flame of days so little is a stone. Where there was something and suddenly isn't, an absence shouts, celebrates, leaves a space. I begin again with the smallest numbers. Quick dance, shuffle of losses and leaves, only the things I didn't do crackle after the blazing dies. Naomi Shihab Nye. I almost think Naomi Shihab Nye was taking notes at one of our services to get this poem so right for us today. This service is our burning service, our annual ritual of relinquishment, letting go, letting be, leaving behind those things we discard from a year gone by that might just free us for the new year. It means we can honestly come to this moment ready to put something down, not lists of vegetables, as the poet suggests, or unfinished poems, but lists of burdens, things done that we should not have done, or importantly, things undone that we should have done, which the poet says are the only things that crackle after the blazing dies. This ritual means we are willing to come to the front of the church, ready to release something of the hold that the last year has upon us, to make room for hope for a new year. And in some ways, it means growing up a little. I was reading the children's book author Judith Viorst's definition of growing up recently. She wrote the classic Alexander's Terrible, Horrible, No Good, Very Bad Day, and other books of inspiration and advice. In her book, Necessary Losses, the Loves, Illusions, Dependencies, and Impossible Expectations that all of us have to give up in order to grow. Apparently, she likes long titles. She wrote wisely this: growing up means letting go of the dearest megalomaniacal dreams of our childhood. Growing up means knowing they can't be fulfilled. Growing up means gaining the wisdom and skills to get what we want within the limitations imposed by reality. A reality which consists of diminished powers, restricted freedoms, and, with the people we love, imperfect connections. How true that is. Growing up means we gain perspective on the realities of our lives, and gaining perspective is something that never should end. Despite our fighting against it, despite our overwrought expectations of each other and ourselves, despite our belief in the power of freedom and hope that love is always nearly perfect, reality always invades. Reality takes a stand and shakes us awake, asks us to think on those things which happen in our lives that we have little control over, or even the ones we do have control over, and to let them go. So what do we do about all this? Spiritual guides of all sorts have said that the one thing we can control is the practice of emptying ourselves, releasing the worry and hurt we carry out into the world like demons cast out in biblical stories or objects hurled into lakes and legends. We can empty ourselves of burdens by practicing the identification of what we want to leave behind, of understanding what spiritual luggage we are carrying too long and too far, and telling ourselves we will empty them out at least once a year. So I want to share with you a practice I started recently of praying a prayer of emptying out, using the poet Ted Loder's Empty Me poem prayer. It goes like this. Empty me, gracious and holy one. Creator of all things and of emptiness, I come to you, full of much that clutters and distracts, stifles and burdens me, and makes me a burden to others. Empty me now of gnawing dissatisfaction, of anxious imaginings, of fretful preoccupation, of nagging prejudices, of old scores to settle, of the arrogance of being right. Empty me of the ways I unthinkingly think of myself as powerless, as a victim, as determined by sex, age, race, as being less than I am, or as other than yours. Empty me of the disguises and lies in which I hide myself from other people and from my responsibility, for my neighbors and for the world. Hollow out in me a space in which I will find myself, find peace and a whole heart, a forgiving spirit and holiness that springs of laughter, and the will to reach boldly for abundant life for myself and the whole human family. When I pray this prayer, I think, what is left when I empty myself in these ways? And the answer is in Naomi Shihab Nye's poem, where there was something and suddenly isn't, and absence shouts, celebrates, and leaves a space. That is what I have found. In the empty hollow of the soul comes a certain freedom manifested in shouts and celebrations and spaces inviting me to hope and renewal. So it wouldn't surprise me if you came forward in deep earnest and lit your fiery paper to let go of something you need to let go of. And in that moment, in that emptiness, comes a shout or a shuffle or a new space, a lightness that you deserve. Although I haven't seen the outward expression of these things in this ritual, I know it happens. As the flame of the paper you hold burns, I have seen it in myself. Shouts, celebrations, and spaces for the act of relinquishment. So what we do today is a simple act. And if it doesn't relieve you of your burdens entirely, then let it be practice for naming them. And if it doesn't relieve you entirely, let it be practice for growing, maturing into the shouts we must release, the giving over to the celebration of life itself, and knowing the spaces within the soul that call you to a depth of who you are. Shouts, celebrations, and spaces today. All in the ritual of burning a simple paper with words on it that we want to leave behind in the old year. So I invite you now to write on your little paper, to share a pen or pencil, to write some things that you want to leave in the old year for the new year. Some things you wish to relinquish that might just push open the soul for the good of us all. Let us enter the silence to contemplate, and then we will pray and sing, and then you will come forward as the ushers assist. A moment of silent reflection.
Will please rise as you're able and join us in saying together the words of the Nidre prayer printed in the order of service in front of you. If you'll join with me. Now, all here are set free to be themselves, not slaves of pressure, duty, or habit. Each and every commitment to unswerving behavior or opinion, by consent of the community that stands in this place, is now nullified, canceled, and made as naught. Now, all here are set free. We who have often said yes when we meant no, and no when we meant yes, from all busyness committed before the altar of guilt. We are set free from our choices of the lesser good, and from all burdens we have carried longer than we should. May we be at one with each other and with our past, with all nature, and with Thee, mystery transcending all language and praise. Now we begin our lives anew as free women and free men. As we cross the boundaries of year and year, we nullify the false walls we have created. May true at-one-ment come, and the new year begin with perfect and refreshing peace. Amen.
Friends, how about a little shout?
Hey!
How about a little celebration? How about a little space? May the new year be well with you. May you be at one and whole for yourself and for all humanity. Go in peace, walk softly on your path, and may God shine in you all the days of your life. Amen.